couple of weeks ago, I made this video talking about the start of my TRT journey. In that video, I discussed a few reasons why I was pursuing a blood test to test for low testosterone in the first place, and to see if TRT was a viable route of treatment for me based on the symptoms I was having. And if you haven't yet seen that video, I'd highly suggest going to watch that one first, so you can understand this one a bit better. The results of that test are back, and today we're going to talk about them. So let me just provide some context. An optimal range of testosterone, which is what a clinic would try and get you to if they provide the treatment, is somewhere in the range of 20 to 28 nanomoles per litre, depending on the clinic you go through. So that's the optimal range. Below that, you've got what they call a normal range, which isn't optimal, but also isn't low enough for treatment. Again, depending on the clinic that provides those guidelines, that range sits around 12 to 19 nanomoles per litre. Anything below 12 is typically classed as low, and you're very likely to qualify for TRT treatment. So my result, and this is an actual screenshot from my lab report, came back at 18 nanomoles per litre. So sat in that normal range between 12 to 19, and actually is quite close to that optimal range of between 20 and 25. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, when I first got that result back and read them, I was a little bit gutted, because I was quite certain that based on the symptoms I was having, I would be on the low range. But the more I've had time to think about it, I've actually managed to look at it in a much more positive way. Because let's be honest, the fact that those results have came back in the normal range is absolutely a net positive. And it's actually helped me to audit other areas of my life with a lot more scrutiny, so I can hopefully figure out why I've been having the symptoms I've been having. I'm talking about things like training, nutrition, lifestyle, factors like stress, home environment, all that kind of thing. And I guess in all fairness, when I think about those things in a lot more detail, I'd probably describe most of those things as normal rather than optimal as well. To give you an example, let's talk about nutrition. Now, as you'll know, I just documented a 17-week cut, and I'd say that for the vast majority of those 17 weeks, my nutrition probably was optimal. I was really focusing on it and wanted a performance-based result. But before that, before March 2025, I'm pretty sure the last time I went on a cut before that was around March 2023. So around 2 years, and I remember I got down to around 79 kilos. I remember finishing that cut around the July that year. So that means that between July 2023 and around March 2025, I didn't really focus on my nutrition that much. That's not to say it went completely out the window. I've got my habits, I've got my principles. It was just kind of on autopilot. That's the best way I can put it. During that time period of less than 2 years, I gained around 13 kilos because at the start of this year, I was sat around 92. I think it goes without saying that that's not great, and it's definitely not what I wanted to happen. It just kind of happened. And because I wasn't putting any focus on it, I was just running on autopilot. Obviously, my standards just kind of slipped. And when I zoom out and think about it, that probably is a contributing factor to how I've been feeling. This is going to sound like first world problems, but I think the fact that I haven't had a proper holiday in around 2 years has probably contributed to it as well. I've been abroad, but not necessarily for a holiday, if that makes sense. I think about my training, which has been on autopilot for so long, until I made a step to change that this year. Again, the common theme of what I'm trying to say here is that when I zoom out and look at everything, is that yes, nothing's been wrong, but also things could have been a lot better. And I know that deep down. I thought that maybe low testosterone could be a contributing factor to all of this, but having had the test now, it's clear that that's not the case. So the question is, what am I going to do to make things better? Well, for starters, since I got back from Hungary, I've really looked at my nutrition. Just because I've finished the cut doesn't mean I'm taking it as an excuse to just go back to doing what I want. I've wrote myself an entirely new nutrition plan, reversing out of the calorie deficit slowly. I'm on 2,600 calories at the moment. Really fruit and veg heavy, making sure that I'm hitting a good amount of protein. I'm creating myself a new plan for supplementation as well. I've actually been off all supplements now since around November last year. So I've had a good 8 months off everything. And now I'm going to reintroduce 4 supplements: vitamin D, fish oils, tonkat ali, and let me just show you. It's this stuff right here. Vitamin D and fish oils kind of go without saying. I think anyone living in the UK should be on vitamin D. And although I do make an effort to eat all your fish twice a week, the fact of the matter is sometimes I just don't. Now, when it comes to tonkat ali and this stuff, I actually went a cycle of these 2 supplements a couple of years ago, and although back then I wasn't tracking any blood work, I actually felt like I got some really good results off these supplements. Did a ton of research into them because they were quite new at the time, but I do remember feeling really good on those supplements. So I'm going to run another cycle of those and test the blood work and see if it has any impact, because those 2 supplements in particular are supposed to be really good at naturally boosting testosterone. Other than that, it's just tightening up areas of my life. I think maybe I was just lacking a bit of structure, so moving forward I'm going to tighten up these things, and I'm going to do another blood test in around 6 months time, and we'll see if we can reach that optimal range in a natural way. All of this being said, if you're a man who suffers with any kind of symptoms of low testosterone, I would still very much urge you to get a blood test done, because you just don't know what's going on until you do that. Like myself, you might not end up on treatment, but I can safely say that seeing my own results has really given me a wake-up call to look at areas of my life with a bit more scrutiny, and I probably wouldn't have done that without those results. So if anyone does have any questions about what we've spoken about today, just go ahead and leave it in the comments below. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you found it informative in any way, go ahead and leave it a like. Make sure you subscribe to stay up to date. I've got a new video coming up this weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.